I had like a few options, but whenever I talked to people about it, everybody always was like, "Oh, Prague! I've been to Prague once. I love Prague. Prague is so much fun." And even beyond just the city itself.
Hello, I'm Regina. I'm head of ARCHIP, Architecture Institute in Prague, School of Architecture, and this is our ARCHIPcast. And today we have here Jan, our second year student, and Jan is German student of ours. And I will ask first about your background. Tell me which city you come from, and if you can share with us your experience from studying your high school. So what kind of high school that was, and so that's for the beginning.
All right. I'm from Germany. I was born in a town called Stolberg. It was near Aachen, in the west of Germany. But we moved away to Krakow. We lived there for 4 years in Poland. But then we moved to Leipzig in the east of Germany, and have stayed there, me and my family, ever since. And I went to school there. I went to high school there. I went to the LIS, the Leipzig International School, and had basically my entire primary and secondary school, middle school, high school education, all in English. I did my IGCSEs in grades 9 and 10, and also my IB in grades 11 and 12, and I'm now here. Yeah.
But why I'm interested in that is, did you have any art focused or art related classes, or even architecture? How was that? But you were at the international school, indeed. It was not a typical German school. But how was it at the international school?
In my IB course, I picked art as a course in a higher level, so it was less. We had the chance to explore and do certain topics that we wanted to explore. I was a lot into digital media and mixed media back then, so I didn't really do anything architecturally except for maybe sketch some buildings here and there. But I was mainly just exploring different styles and different times, different photography, different artists, and through that I think found my own sort of design language that I could then later translate on architecture. Yeah.
And did you also attend some, let's say, extracurricular courses, or something what you have done in your free time, for example?
The main thing I did was because I played clarinet since 4th grade, so I joined the local school big band with a great teacher, Paul Fawkes, who led us, and it was a lot of fun. It was less. I was always interested in music, especially because my brother, he also studies music at the moment. But I was never as into it as he was. But I was always, he always talked about it, so I always liked it. So through that, I did that. And it was also just nice to have a different creative output that wasn't visual, but also something, something completely different, and interact with people from other ages, from other sources. So
And you say your brother is studying music at the moment. When you talk to your brother, do you find some similarities between architecture and music?
Yes.
Difficult question.
Exactly. We always, it's always a bit. We had this conversation recently where I showed him some of my work, and he was like, "Wow, I don't get what's going on here." Then he showed me some of his work, and I was like, "I don't get what's going on here." It's both a very creative passion. I think both the sort of architecture, which is visual, and the musical, and I think there is this base connection through that, but the details of how it's done are very different. But I feel like I'm very much influenced by my brother and what he does and how he works. A lot of my the way I sort of approach creative issues and creative. If I need some other creative sources that I don't know yet, I usually go to him, and he can help me with that. So there are similarities in the baseline, but I think overall it's quite different. Yeah, but that's what makes it interesting.
Yeah, no, It's interesting what you say, because this proverb that architecture is a frozen music. And at the beginning, when we started the school, I was also thinking to have a class in music here, like music composition, or to find. I'm also not sure, how much these two fields are interconnected. But I think both are very creative fields indeed. And it also depends. There are also different specializations, in music. Yeah. So, is your brother having some specific field?
He completed his bachelor's in composition.
That could be close.
Exactly. And now, at the moment, he's doing his master's in choir conducting in Aarhus, in Denmark. Yeah. So that's quite interesting.
Choir conducting. Yeah. Nice. And indeed, you love music as well. And going a bit further, did you have a gap year between your high school studies and university?
Yeah. On one hand, I just wanted a break from studying, just fresh my mind, because I was always thinking of architecture here and there, but I was never actually sure if I did want it. So I just took liberty just to have a break, to freshen up the mind, to be ready for future studies, but also explore what I actually wanted. If my plan is actually the plan I want to do in my for my life. Mm-hmm. So I applied for a few internships and ended up getting one at HPP Architects in Leipzig, and initially I was only supposed to be there for a month, but then spent there 3 months working together in a group of architects who we were working on a competition project for the university in Chemnitz. Mm-hmm. And basically some new laboratory building. It was super interesting, as someone who did not know anything about architecture, getting these tools for the first time, like CAD and all that. I've heard of it, but I never actually got the opportunity to use it. Mm-hmm. But then also just learning about how people think about architecture, how people talk about architecture, and just getting in the mindset of being an architect. And that sort of experience really cemented my wish to continue these studies.
Interesting, because in my times, when we got an internship, it was more without any experience with architecture. We got to build the physical models, for example. That's something which they used us for, to make the concept models and so on. But
that is what I did practically.
But in a 3D.
Digital, exactly, yeah. I did a lot of SketchUp in that time, building your surrounding area, the context, but also the architects gave me the plans, and I also created the buildings, the concept buildings in the surrounding area, and through that they could see, okay, what works in context, what doesn't work, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And also taking these concept buildings and making visualizations from them. So I had a lot of early experience with what should be shown, what shouldn't be shown, things like that. So
interesting.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Was it 1 year gap between your high school studies and university studies? And why did you pick Prague as your next home?
Yeah.
Well, it's not far from Leipzig, indeed.
It's very close, yeah. I had a few options, but whenever I talked to people about it, everybody always was like, "Oh, Prague! I've been to Prague once. I love Prague. Prague is so much fun." And even beyond just the city itself, ARCHIP, from what I read about it online, from what I heard about it, just seemed very interesting and sort of the thing that I want for my studies, because it's very, very individualistic. I can explore things in my own pace in the AD studios. I can do the things I'm interested in without being forced to go the path that my professors decide. And also the professors, all of them are all of the people that teach me are actually actively working, and not some old person who hasn't designed a building in 20 years or something. So they have the knowledge and the skill of the current times know what's up, basically.
No, that's very important to us, that we take people from practice, that they are able to come. It's not easy for them, indeed, but I think they are, let's say, over 40, so they have this feeling that they also should share their knowledge.
They have the experience too.
Yeah, and I think it's very, very, very beneficial that they are from practice and they are able to share that. And so we jumped from Prague to our school. We are still very small school. That's what's our advantage, or I feel it as an advantage that we have maximum like 25, 27 students in one cohort. And you are already in the second year, so you have 3 semesters behind you. Can you share with our audience your experience with different courses, be it AD or any other course?
I mean, I do like the variety of courses we have. I mean, in the first semester was very basic. It was, how do I draw technical drawings? But that is what is needed.
For you.
Exactly.
For you, it was basic, yeah.
So it was all, these first small steps that are very, I think, important. And with the technical drawing courses, things like that, the construction courses, how do buildings actually work? It was quite interesting. And I think sort of in the second semester, I really started to get really into some of the courses. For example, sociology. I was so interested in just seeing, how do people think about their space? How do people interact with their surrounding areas and with other people? How does that actually work? And how do people's mindsets not only change over time, but also change within a different space? Yeah.
Sociology is definitely interesting. You have also philosophy classes.
I heard, yeah.
This is, I think, also of great importance for architects. And when I think about our study programs, I feel that probably we have too many classes of architecture history. Indeed, if my colleague would hear me, he would be definitely against. But based on my experience from, let's say, Dessau School of Architecture, which is not far from Leipzig, or some Scandinavian universities, I don't, I'm sure I kind of experience that they don't have that many classes in architecture and art history. Yeah. But how do you view this fact? Isn't it too much, or?
Well, For me, my approach, I think my architectural thinking is very much more the sort of presently based, with exploring different tools like Grasshopper, or exploring different concepts that are based in the contemporary times. So history, it's not that easy for me compared to other subjects. I mean, I had an exam for it today.
Oh, was it today?
Yeah. But I feel it's important to know about what came before us, definitely. Not only learn about different elements, but also sort of what mindsets people had back then, sort of how people can, analyze, my own projects within the scope and the mind of Renaissance, Baroque, and all that sort of, also all these sort of times, but yeah.
But there are, many more classes in history, which are in urban planning, history of that, which are awaiting you. But as you said, it's important to be aware of the collection, the historical collection you are going to contribute to in your future work. On the other hand side, we don't teach here historical architecture. I mean, we don't teach here how to, mimic Baroque or something, but we teach more how to fit with your modern approach to the historical context.
Exactly.
I think that's also very relevant to Prague architecture and the current architecture as well, because we say that everything has been built already, and the majority of work of architects is going to be in reconstruction, refurbishment, and so on. But the time will show. But indeed, you are also you are not only studying, but you are also leading here courses in Grasshopper. So
yeah, I started this semester.
How was it?
It's been fun. It's a completely new experience. I don't have any experience with actually teaching something, but I love using Grasshopper. This is the parametric design program, and just sort of I always saw people that they started with it, and seeing how people do certain things where I thought I could do this in Grasshopper, but so much quicker. And seeing this, I sort of realized that my own joy I get from it, and I, in a way, just wanted to give others the opportunity to just experience that, and also, give them the ability to just develop their own skills, so they're able to do more things in the future. I have done quite a lot of people always come to me like, can you do this for me? Can you do some codes for me?
Not anymore.
I'm always happy to do it, but I do prefer giving people the tools so that they can like do it themselves and sort of giving them a way into the future. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's super that they have this opportunity, because we have few like extracurricular courses, be it Czech language as foreign language, or your Grasshopper course, and I'm very thankful for that, because it's super. And probably going back to the regular studies, can you share with our audience something about your AD, like architecture design briefs, your studio briefs? Now you went through the semester together with Vinny Maas and his studio, which is a visiting professor at our school. But before you had actually 2 semesters with our 2 teachers, Lukáš Kurela and Šimon Prokop. So if you just pick one of your semesters and describe what you were working on, or what you enjoyed, or what you didn't enjoy.
I'll probably pick last semester, because my first semester was very, I didn't really know what I was doing. But it was nice because we focused on the area we're in at the moment, the Albertov area, and sort of had these very interesting stages of first urban analysis, what is here, what isn't here, what can be there theoretically, and then through that went into deeper design of looking at where is there space, like what opportunities are there to actually do things, and then in a very feedback oriented way with the people here and also other students, seeing what would make sense to add to the area, and sort of through that making the area I spent a lot of time, and I'm here a lot, making this area nicer for people who are here every day, for the students, for the teachers, for the educators, for the people that live in the area. Yeah.
Also was very nice that you manage as a team to exhibit your projects outside of the school. No, it was a very nice, exhibition happening in front of our building that was also visited by the pass-buyers as well as the dean of the Faculty of Transformation Science. So that was very nice. And you were actually in the first year, last year, when you had both semesters, like horizontal studio, when you worked together with your cohort, let's say, with your students, which is not typical. We were testing that model. And this semester was your first semester in this vertical studio, where you met also students from master course, current first year students, and so on. So how was that, this shift between, let's say, horizontal studio and vertical studio? How was it for you?
It was really interesting, because I heard about it before, and I had seen the other studios do it. I was always interested in it, but it was cool to actually get not only other people's views, because I had other people's opinions from my grade, but different views coming from different sources, from different places of experience and skill, and sort of reflecting on myself, what can I do to improve, to reach these other levels that people are on. It was really cool to talk with master students, with older bachelor students, and see what have they done before, what are they doing right now, and sort of how can I also help them, how can I adapt my sort of way of thinking to be more open, to be more inclusive, and sort of get more done as a group, and get sort of work together with all these different people and different opinions.
That was the case of this semester, no? When you worked as one big team. I have to say it happened for the first time in the history of the school, because usually we work not very much individually, but we bring students to, let's say, 4 persons group or 2 working together, but we never worked with the one cohort as the one team. So I think that was a unique experience also for you, and in that constellation you can see what you can, how you can contribute to the team, and but it's not easy indeed. I think it's not easy for you as a student to follow this team dynamic or group dynamic, and it's not easy for teachers to inspire you or to bring you together.
Get everything organized, get everybody to do their work.
That's I don't know what is your experience, but I think it's difficult.
It was decent, I definitely liked it. It was very interesting, especially given the context of having Vinny Maas as the studio leader, who his work is like I've heard of it before because he was always here and there in the ARCHIP, but having the experience of with this very skilled and very experienced architect who's done years and years of projects and having this completely different view on things and basically having to force myself to not do what I've done before, but having to experience and consider different things was very interesting and very not challenging at times, but I think overall very doable.
So we spoke about your experience with our study program, and when you look further after you graduate, are there any thoughts in your head where to continue studying or having another gap year?
I've always been thinking about doing another gap year, just because I think the sort of experience I've had between high school and my first bachelor year was very good to sort of, in a way, distance myself from studies, gain some clarity of my mind, but also through that also grow as a person, which also very much positively impacts my output. So through this, especially now that I would have actual architectural experience, I think I have a lot more opportunities to go to different places and interact with different people in a professional sense, and through that gain more experience and more views, which I can very nicely apply in a future master's degree, which I definitely do want to do. And especially I think with my parametric design approach, I think a lot of doors are open to me, and I have a lot of possibilities with that, which I definitely do want to explore and just sort of see how far I can go with this.
And were you thinking about, let's say, European programs or United States, North American universities?
Probably European the most. I mean, I have still 1.5 years to go. I have still 3 semesters to go.
Indeed.
But like the way ARCHIP manages the students and the courses and everything, it's very nice, and it's I can always talk to teachers directly, and there's never any difficulty in that communication. So I do think that sort of positive is something that would sort of be a reason for me to come back for my master's course. But I'll have to see how far developed my skills are by then and what other opportunities there are. But I think definitely I do want to stay in Europe because I grew up here. I'm European, so it makes sense for the opportunity to just stay here and then also stay close to home, visit the family. In Prague, 2.5 hours by car. Yeah. It's easy. Yeah.
That's incredible. And if you think about another step further in your future, would you like to start your own studio or work somewhere in a bigger or smaller studio? How do you envision that?
I don't know.
I don't know. It's too early. Probably it's too early to ask.
I've always thought about this, but I think leading my own studio is just too much to manage and too much to like.
It is. I agree.
Because I'm more of a person. I think that I do like when I get told to do a task and then I just do it and then I'm good. But finding out what do we have to do as a group, or where are their faults, and sort of deciding who does what. I think my skill, I can do it definitely, I think, but I don't think I am that built for it as other people. And especially with the future of Grasshopper and the future of the parametric design, I think I have a lot of opportunities to just maybe work as a freelancer, go to different places, different cities, different countries, different studios, and give people help when they need it, or also even as a tutor, go to different studios and teach people Grasshopper. Yeah, I think that's a future that is very possible and achievable for me, but I'll see how it goes.
When you are on this mode of sharing your knowledge, it's also possible to stay in academia as well. Right. To have 2 jobs, combination of your practicing architecture plus teaching as well.
Teaching at ARCHIP.
Teaching at ARCHIP, indeed, 2.5 hours from Leipzig. So that's super. Is there something else you would like to share with our audience today? Because we went somehow through your past, now studies, and then future steps. So is there something else you'd like to mention now about, let's say, or living in Prague? That's the topic we haven't discussed yet. You mentioned that Prague, was always praised by your friends. But how is it to? But you are from, you are the neighbor. You are almost like ours here, so you didn't come from far away. But how is the student life in Prague, or how was it for you to be new to the city, meeting other students?
I mean, the student life, I love it here. It's a lot of fun because the city I'm from is quite active, but just not on the scale of Prague. There's always something going on, especially with tourists coming in and out, with Erasmus students always being here. There's always new people to meet, new places to go to, new things to experience. And I think that keeps the sort of student life quite active and fresh. It was quite difficult to get used to in the beginning, just, living alone, things like that. I mean, that's the basic thing I think everybody sort of experiences, but once I've found my footing here and found a nice flat, things like that, living with friends, going out with friends, I think it's very just perfect place for me at the moment to study. I have the freedom to go to places, I have the freedom to do things, but I also have the ability to concentrate and work on my uni work and do what I need to do.
No, first thoughts I have when you mentioned that there's plenty of things to do in Prague. I thought, recently somebody told me that there are, I think, over 70 theater performances every day. It was I'm not sure about 70, but I think it was a lot. But then we have the language barrier here. Visiting probably indeed concerts and everything possible, but theater still not. But how is your Czech?
It is. I get through the day good enough. I know how to say hello, goodbye, thank you, das sedano, But it's one of the aspects I'm sort of I need to work on because I have been living here for quite a while now. But because it is such a big and sort of city where if there's a lot of people coming and going all the time, it is quite easy to get around with English and even with German. It's happened plenty of times that I said I'm German to someone and I just have a conversation in German with them. So
that was actually my question I want to ask as well, because there are philosophers in our past who asked who are Czechs. They are actually Germans. So this let's say our close relationships and our past, when many of us can find German predecessors in our families, that's for sure. But I was a bit worried that the German language is somehow evaporating from our society. So what is your experience in that respect?
It's actually people from all ages have spoken to me in German. I mean, a lot of students I've met in different places around Prague and bars have always, when I mention German, they always communicate with me in German. But even people in grocery stores, when I show them my ID and they see I'm German, they say auf Wiedersehen. They talk to me in German. It's always quite a nice feeling. Good. I'm not that far away from home in a way.
Actually, in the past, we, as I mentioned, our collaboration with Anhalt University and their School of Architecture in Dessau, and we did one project back in 2016-17 in Leipzig. It was about it was the east district from the main train station, which was kind of emptied after 1989. And there were some NGOs who started to reconstruct the buildings from bottom up, and were getting loans from the banks and trying to design there some community centers and so on. So suddenly you remind me of that. I will probably find some portfolios from that time.
I would love to see it.
And we had a wonderful collaboration with Ivan Kučina. He's a Serbian architect who had a studio at the school there. He's a very nice person, and his topics were always architecture and sociology and communities and oriented and so on. So that was very, very positive. I think I used all my questions. You don't have any questions to me, no?
No.
No, thank you. Great. So it was pleasure to have you
It
here
was
to talk to
a
you.
lot of fun. Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity, of course.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you very much for following us.